Hello. Throughout human history, there has been one of the quietest, yet most enduring witnesses to the rise of civilization: the brick. Born from the union of clay, water, and sun, this simple building block is, in fact, the invisible hero laying the foundation of civilizations. From the first villages to magnificent empires, from humble mud walls to monumental brick arches, the brick has been more than just a construction material. It has been the tangible expression of humanity's desire for settled life, security, and permanence. Each brick is not merely a piece stacked upon another. It becomes a small memory stone carrying the labor, knowledge, and dreams of a society. Even today, in the walls we still touch, the warmth of a journey spanning thousands of years can be felt. From earth to brick, the birth of the first building materials. Throughout history, one of humanity's most fundamental needs has been shelter. The process of leaving natural caves and building one's own dwelling marks some of the earliest steps of civilization. Among these steps, one of the most important was the discovery of earth and its transformation into building materials. Earth, abundant and malleable, naturally drew the attention of early human communities. This natural material turned to mud by rain, hardened when dried in the sun, becoming resistant to wind and sun. This simple observation prepared the way for the birth of the first building material in human history: the mud brick. Mud brick emerged as a mixture of earth and water, sometimes reinforced with straw. It was poured into molds, dried, and became a durable building block. This development showed that humans were not only adapting to nature, but shaping it to meet their needs. With bricks made from earth, humans began constructing permanent structures instead of temporary shelters. This became a cornerstone in the transition to settled life. The emergence of mud brick was not just a construction solution, but also a cultural transformation. Humans were shifting from hunter-gatherer lifestyles to agricultural societies, forming families, villages, and communities. One of the most essential components of this new way of life was the humble yet revolutionary earth brick. For this reason, the first brick was more than just a building element. It was a turning point. It symbolized a people's move toward settlement, production, wall building, and ultimately, civilization itself. The power of mud brick. Civilization hardened by the sun. Mud brick is one of the oldest marvels in the history of construction. Though it may seem like a simple mixture, for thousands of years it has formed the walls of millions of homes, temples, and even palaces. And all of this without the need for a kiln, hardened solely by the heat of the sun. From ancient Mesopotamia to Anatolia, from Africa to Central Asia, many civilizations used mud brick as their primary building material. The reason was simple: a mixture of abundant clay and water, reinforced with straw and poured into molds, could be hardened in just a few days under the sun to become a building block. With this method, walls were raised, houses were built, and cities were established. Mud brick draws attention not only for its durability, but also for its sustainability. Being made from natural materials, it is harmless to the environment. When it eventually collapses, it returns to the earth naturally, completing a full cycle without the need for recycling. Especially in hot climates, mud brick houses excel at keeping interiors cool. Its density and porous structure absorb the heat of the day while retaining coolness at night. In this way, mud brick is not just a building material, but also a natural climate regulator. Yet, the greatest strength of mud brick lies not only in its physical properties. Its significance is equally profound. Mud brick symbolizes humanity's effort to live in harmony with nature, to learn technology from the earth, and to embed wisdom into the soil itself. Even today, while it may seem overshadowed by modern construction technologies, mud brick continues to exist in the living spaces of millions, and, with the rise of sustainable architecture, it is gaining renewed value. The first bricks. Architecture, shaped from Mesopotamia to Egypt. Humanity's desire to build permanent structures drove people beyond merely using materials found in nature. This pursuit, in fertile lands such as Mesopotamia and the Nile Valley, led to the shaping of the first bricks. The journey that began with mud brick evolved into more durable and orderly forms with brick. For brick was not only a building material, it heralded planned urbanization, social organization, and architectural understanding. In Mesopotamia, the clay-rich soils provided by the Tigris and Euphrates rivers were a unique resource for brick production. The Sumerians, around the 3rd millennium before the Common Era, combined sun-dried mud bricks to construct temples, ziggurats, and homes. These structures were not merely shelters, they were centers of social life, belief, and governance. Here, brick became a carrier of civilization itself. In Egypt, the use of brick brought a different architectural approach. The annual silt deposited by the Nile served as the raw material for mud brick. In ancient Egypt, bricks were used in both modest rural homes and monumental palaces and tombs. Excavations at sites such as Tel el Amarna and Malkata reveal that Egyptians produced mud bricks and bricks using precise molds. This systematic approach enhanced both the durability and aesthetics of their structures. Both civilizations regarded brick as a fundamental building block of architecture. However, their usage and structural approaches reflected cultural differences. In Mesopotamia, bricks were favored for wide city walls and multi-story buildings, while in Egypt, flat-roofed houses and courtyard structures were more common. Their shared understanding was clear. Brick had become indispensable to settled life, social organization, and engineering. Brick use went beyond construction. It evolved into a language encoding architecture. Their dimensions, molds, and arrangement reflected the society's aesthetic values and engineering knowledge. In Mesopotamia, stelae and cuneiform inscriptions on bricks demonstrated that a building was not only a physical structure, but also a cultural vessel. The first bricks are not only architectural heritage of the past, they are also one of the most tangible examples of humanity's passion to transform nature and leave a lasting mark. Mesopotamia and Egypt were pioneers of this transformation, and each brick was like a silent letter, upon which a civilization wrote its own story on the walls. Fired revolution, durability, hardened by heat. The earliest mud bricks were hardened by drying under the sun. This method was sufficient to meet basic shelter needs, but over time, nature's challenges, rain, floods, humidity, limited the lifespan of these bricks. At this point, one of the most important technological revolutions in human construction history took place: the firing of bricks. Now, it was not the sun, but fire that shaped the story. Fired bricks were not only more durable, but also more versatile and adaptable in their applications. This new production method extended the life of buildings from decades to centuries. Bricks baked with heat became water-resistant due to their density, making them revolutionary for multi-story buildings, water channels, and structures exposed to harsh weather. This technological advancement first became widespread in the second millennium before the Common Era, particularly in Mesopotamia, in civilizations such as Babylon and Assyria. In monumental structures like ziggurats, mud brick was used internally, while fired bricks reinforced the exterior. This approach combined both durability and aesthetic appeal. Bricks coated with colorful glazes provided not only protection, but also visual grandeur. The standardization offered by fired bricks also greatly facilitated urban planning. Walls, roads, and water channels could now be built to precise dimensions, making engineering calculations more reliable. Construction was moving from craftsmanship toward engineering. Moreover, fired bricks allowed architecture to reach beyond elites and religious structures, influencing everyday outlook. Cities were reshaped with this durable material, and the strength of fired bricks enabled denser, longer-lasting construction. The hardness provided by heat also brought a cultural transformation. Humans learned to use fire not only for cooking or warmth, but as a tool to shape nature itself. Fired bricks stand as the silent witnesses of this evolution, laid brick by brick. The universal rise of brick in Rome and China. The story of brick was not confined to Mesopotamia. Its rise unfolded simultaneously across distant parts of the world. The most magnificent representatives of this rise were the civilizations of Rome and China. Both great empires embraced brick not merely as a building material, but as the foundation of an architectural system that upheld their empires. In the Roman Empire, fired bricks became an integral part of urban planning. Romans built walls using a technique called opus latericium, in which fired bricks were laid in orderly rows with mortar, ensuring exceptional durability. Thanks to this method, amphitheaters, baths, roads, aqueducts, and city walls stood for centuries. Roman engineers standardized brick sizes, adopting a production logic suitable for large urban projects. This was revolutionary in terms of labor and time efficiency. During the reigns of Hadrian and Trajan, brick use increased significantly. Bricks were stamped to record the workshop and production date, allowing for quality control. For the Romans, brick was not only about strength, it was a symbol of discipline and governance. In China, the rise of brick became particularly evident during the Han Dynasty. Chinese craftsmen built monumental structures using both mud brick and fired brick. Sections of the Great Wall were reinforced with fired bricks. Additionally, brick use in tomb architecture and temples carried both durability and symbolic significance. Chinese architecture employed brick not only horizontally, but also vertically, adorned with aesthetic details. Dragon reliefs, glazed brick motifs, and decorative roof elements demonstrated the creative potential of brick in architecture. Both civilizations elevated brick to a symbol of empire. In Rome, it carried roads and water. In China, walls and beliefs. Brick was no longer merely a material. It became the mortar of civilization, and this mortar held within it the secret of many structures that have endured through history. The aesthetic journey of brick in the Middle Ages and the Ottoman era. The story of brick took on a new form during the Middle Ages, accompanying transformations in architectural understanding. After the engineering marvels of Rome, stone architecture dominated Europe, yet brick regained popularity in Northern Europe for both economic and aesthetic reasons. This period witnessed the birth of the architectural style known as brick Gothic. In countries like Germany, Poland, and the Netherlands, the scarcity of expensive building materials such as limestone and marble made brick an attractive alternative. Finely crafted bricks became the foundation of monumental structures, cathedrals, monasteries, clock towers, and city walls. Ornamented facades, pointed arches, and elegant windows showcased the power of architectural beauty achieved with brick. Thus, brick became associated not only with durability, but also with elegance. Meanwhile, in the Islamic world and Ottoman architecture, brick was part of an aesthetic that skillfully combined stone and tile. Seljuk structures with tiled bricks were particularly evident in eastern Anatolia, while the Ottomans used brick both as a building material and a decorative element. In early Ottoman structures, the alternating use of stone and brick, known as the Almaşık wall technique, stands out. This technique not only strengthened the buildings, but also created a visual rhythm and richness. From mosque walls to caravanserai facades, this aesthetic choice was prominent. As Ottoman architecture grew, masters and techniques brought from different regions diversified the ways bricks were processed. In some buildings, bricks were glazed in different colors and adorned with geometric patterns, especially in couliers and interior decorations. This period marked the moment when brick became not only a construction material, but also a medium for cultural and artistic expression. Each brick was a silent mark, crafted by a master's hand, reflecting a civilization's sense of elegance. During this era, aesthetics and function reached perhaps their most harmonious union. Mass production in the Industrial Revolution. The brick of modern construction. The Industrial Revolution transformed not only the means of production, but also the materials used in construction. At the center of this transformation was brick, reshaped both in form and production process. No longer limited to handcrafted production, mechanized systems enabled mass and standardized manufacturing. Brick became an indispensable element of large-scale urban development. By the mid-1800s, particularly in industrialized regions of England and Europe, brick production began using steam-powered press machines. These machines increased production speed and ensured greater consistency in size, shape, and durability. This was a revolution for the construction industry. Buildings, factories, bridges, and stations required by growing cities could now rise rapidly. Standard brick sizes provided significant advantages for structural engineering. Brick walls could be built faster. Construction times shortened, and costs reduced. At the same time, the load-bearing capacity and insulation properties of buildings improved. Brick became not only practical, but also an economic choice. During periods of accelerated urbanization, it became the primary material for factories, workers' housing, schools, and public buildings. In Victorian architecture, especially in England, brick gained aesthetic value when combined with elegant facade details and craftsmanship. Its fire-resistant qualities further cemented its indispensability, particularly in high-risk industrial structures. The Industrial Revolution transformed brick into more than a building unit. It became a repeating cell, a modular component in the architectural system of the modern era. Each brick, produced with the same size, speed, and form, carried the rhythm of the industrial age onto the walls of cities. From mud brick to concrete, lost values and transformation. For centuries, mud brick reflected humanity's relationship with nature, but gradually, it was replaced by concrete. This shift represents not only a change in building materials, but also a transformation of cultural, environmental, and aesthetic values. Mud brick, born from the combination of earth, water, and sun, was a natural and ecological building material. It was produced using local knowledge, adapted to the climate. Mud brick structures, shaped according to the character of local soils, provided natural insulation, balancing both warmth and coolness. However, the speed and durability demands of modern life began to deem this organic material insufficient. From the mid-20th century onward, concrete became the material of the new age. Made from cement, gravel, sand, and water, concrete offered the ability to deliver consistent results anywhere and in any climate. Buildings could be erected faster, with more floors and lower costs. But this speed came with certain losses. As concrete spread, traditional materials like mud brick and brick were labeled primitive. Centuries of local architectural knowledge, craftsmanship, and harmony with nature were gradually overlooked. Concrete imposed an anonymous, global, and industrial aesthetic. The same blocks, forms, and appearances spread across the world. This transformation also reshaped city skylines. Structures became monotonous, gray, and disconnected from natural textures. Insulation, aesthetic details, and local context were often ignored. Mud brick houses, representing traditional ways of life and spatial perception, were either demolished or forgotten. Today, sustainable architecture seeks to revive these lost values. Natural materials like mud brick are re-emerging as environmentally friendly solutions. Yet, in cities still dominated by concrete, the bond between humanity and the earth, once so tangible, remains largely severed. Civilization. Brick by brick, a building material as cultural memory. Every brick is a part of civilization. It is not only a building element, but also a memory record built against time. Bricks, the silent witnesses of human history, reflect not only our need for shelter, but also our sense of aesthetics, engineering skills, and cultural development. The bricks used in a Babylonian ziggurat, a Roman bath, or an Ottoman arch reveal a society's architectural preferences, technical capabilities, and even world-view. Each block, hand-kneaded, sun-dried, or kiln-fired, bears marks that carry the skill of its maker and the traces of time. Inscribed bricks from ancient times served, in a way, as the first architectural archives. Brick is not only a technical tool, but also a sociological indicator. A society's methods of production, division of labor, urban planning, and even its relationship with the environment can be read through brick structures. The evolution from mud brick to modern brick symbolizes humanity's effort to live with nature, eventually industrialized. Architectural historians see brick not merely as a material, but as a narrator. It carries the cultural memory of a space, not just its physical form. When old brick structures are demolished or covered with concrete today, a period's way of thinking, lifestyle, and aesthetic understanding are also lost. Therefore, bricks should be seen not only as structural elements, but as the physical representation of our connection to the past. Modern architecture strives to synthesize the aesthetics and ecological balance of the past with contemporary technologies. Perhaps the solution lies not in blindly pursuing the new, but in understanding the memory of civilization, brick by brick. Brick is the silent witness of humanity. Born from earth and hardened by the sun, fired in kilns and transformed into the walls, temples, and homes of empires, this small block is, in fact, the portable memory of civilization. Each brick carries the labor of a craftsman, the dreams of a society, and the spirit of an era. Even if it is now overshadowed by concrete and steel, the story of brick reminds us of humanity's enduring connection to the earth, to labor, and to continuity. For civilization is, truly, a memory built brick by brick.